Greetings, this is Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Ganja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lion's voice. Now put it, I jolly for say that.
Greetings, this is Shiloh. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Shiloh said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
African pride, root of all nations, boy. I tried with the lion, the Rastafari. Lion of it tried with lioness like I do. Empress on the front line, we need you. Well, this is Medicine, the steady one, and you are now tuned in to the Lion's Voice Network. What the lion fought for do? Scorch them. Roast and parch them.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Empress Manel, and a young scientist. Universally unfold, be told. Blessed love, this is Itege Idama, and it's time for the lioness and the lion's voices to be heard. This is the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Yo, blazing fire, yeah man, this is Racindio out of Belize, and the time has come for the lions to tell our own story, right? Yeah man, we blaze fire, burning the wicked and the dirty vampire. Yeah man, Racindio said that, blazing fire, lion boy.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes, wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Trent of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the lion voice, because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Yeah, Rastafari, Empress Diana the first. Let me people know Empress many. Well, even if the stars they fall and the moon turn into
them flood. But when the hurricane blow down their wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your love was a lifeline. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, that light was a lifeline. It seems like the world is upside down. I will never hide, I'd rather stand my ground. Lion of Judah blessed with the triple crown. Can't come fool I with no circus clown. Now fear no hurricane or the cyclone. Respect for Mama Earth with that embedded on me bone. That's why I will never leave you alone. Protect you from harm when the alarm sound. So even when the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, to the coming war we stand tall. I will shower you with my love. And even when the people start mal, but they see their city streets them flood. When the hurricane blow down our wall, I'll be by your side and me not budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your light was a lifeline. I think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your love was a lifeline. They say hurt people. Maybe that's why Babylon them so evil. Maybe Babylon abused as a child.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Chasmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm a creative industry attorney, I'm an artist, I'm an author, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk Live. Welcome to Lion Talk Live and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Big up all of the lioness them around the world. We just finished our Women's History Month programming, one whole month straight of just powerful Rastafari women, and it was so airy, so idolful. The Empress Menen panel was so joyful, you know, a show of unity just across the board from the sister in them. And I know the panelists, them are link up, big things are happening. So at the same time that we see these horrific wars and destruction around the world, Rastafari gathering, you know, we know what this gathering is for. And it's a joy that we here at the Lion Voice Network can be a part of something positive happening for the global family. The great gathering, you know what I mean, the great coming together of I and I. It was foretold, and I and I are the witnesses. I know the big news is what's happening in Iran right now with the ceasefire, which is already, for all intensive purposes, look like the ceasefire mashup. You know, over here, our stance, this is not going to stop. This is going to be a long war of attrition. Gas prices are going to continue to rise. The food prices are going to continue to rise. So we're not getting fooled. We're not getting distracted. We're building. We're about building. We're about solution over here. We're not going to be doom and gloom. As we say, it's a joy because these are things that we chanted from them time that when you listen to all of the Rastafari music, you know what I mean? You will hear these themes interwoven about these times. So now that the times are here, I say that you're going to see Rastafari rise on the world in terms of the impact, the heavens becoming more manifest. We know the power theoretically, but now those powers, the time has come for them to become manifest, to take form, ever living, ever faithful, ever sure. Big up to everyone tonight. We have a very powerful guest, a guest that is no stranger to the platform. This is part of the uprising that we're talking about, family. And our saying is that when you come on Lion Voice Network, we don't do one interview, because if you were not worthy of a continuing reasoning, then you would not reach on the platform. We take the title the Chaz Match serious, and for those who don't know, the Chaz Match means commander of the gate or keeper of the door. We have created a virtual door, a virtual gate, so that we can bring control a narrative, the narrative of His Majesty, because there's so many different philosophies, and we give thanks for the diversity of thought. But over here, we are strictly dealing with the teachings of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, and that's why we are firmly Rastafari, firmly Pan-African, firmly humanitarian, firmly for all of humanity. These are the teachings of His Imperial Majesty. We're not going outside of that. And within that, there are certain topics that are very dear to I and I. Tonight, we're going to be touching on the Ganja topic. Who is going to own the future of the Ganja business? The Holy Sacrament, our elders said it was the healing of the nation, and they were persecuted. This was one of the main instruments of criminalization of Rastafari globally. So this is a very sensitive topic. You see there's big headlines about St. Kitts recognizing, being the first place to recognize Rastafari legally. Jamaica contesting. It's a big back and forth. We're going to talk to some of the brethren them from St. Kitts and Nevis. We're going to do, as a Rastafari international independent non-aligned media platform, we're going to touch into these topics, and we're going to go to the people in those places and hear firsthand what is the legislation, how is the community on the ground feel about it, so that we don't speculate about what's happening, and we are informed as the Lion Pride, the global Lion Pride. And if you're new here and this is your first time watching, you have entered into a positive Rastafari space. Rastafari vibration is positive. So we have the greatest comment section on the planet over here. Nothing but intellect and positivity and spirituality. Trolls, they come in one time and we don't see them again because the vibration is so high. We vibrate them away. Sometimes we ban them too, because we're practical with it too. But the vibration is so high over here. We keep that energy. And tonight is no different. So before I bring forward the guests, let me just big up the greatest online community on the planet, the Lion Pride, the global Lion Pride, approaching 70,000 subscribers. I think we're at 67,500. It continues to grow. The word keeps going out. My phone is ringing now every day with people want to come on the platform. People, bigging up the platform, trying to introduce me to guests. It really has taken on a life of its own. And all of it I could not have done without the global Lion Pride. It means nothing if we don't have this global collective security represented by the Lion Pride. And if you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. Most of the item watch the replay. To the ones who watch live, you know the deal. Just in the comments, let us know, roll call, where you're watching from. Check in. We know some of our Asian Sadias will be here. The great Johnny Johnson, Ross Roots, all of the regular Bongo Wisely, all of the regular Fire Angels, Bobo Michael, Bobo Ross, all of the regulars who in the comments them, who comment, Queen Mother Moses, always don't leave we out. We are building a community online here, and we're very proud of, again, the positive, because we could easily just be doom and gloom, apocalyptic, but we say that we are here to build Zion. If we're burning Babylon, that's one side of the coin, but we can't spend all of the time burning out Babylon and we're not looking at building the alternative. And what the item are witnessing with this uprising of this platform is the architecture of Rastafari media. Any independent sovereign people have to have their own media. They have to control their own narrative. We over here always are reasoning about His Majesty. When you go into mainstream, you go into Pan-African, you don't hear that name they call. And, we have a lot of content on the platform about the history, the works. People, you hear their story, how they start to acknowledge His divinity. We don't just go into the divinity, though. We have a whole slew of Ethiopian guests that are on the way. We're going to be interviewing elders, Ethiopian elders who knew His Majesty, who worked with His Majesty, who got their diploma from His Majesty. That is coming on the platform. So we're very holistic, but we are Rastafari independent, non-aligned media. And we cannot do anything without the item support. So big up all our Lion Pride on Patreon. We are now at 47. We're so close to hitting that 50 so that we can start our grant program. I want 3 of the Lion Pride tonight for just make an extra step. Join the Lion Pride on Patreon. Let us get this grant program off the ground so we can have a major achievement before we go on to 100. And for the young Rasses, I would say now is the greatest time to join the Lion Pride on Patreon. You have access. You saw some of our guests during Women's History Month, the type of minds that are in our Lion Pride on Patreon. Empress Danielle, Empress Waziro, Joan Henry White. These are, legendary. We have some legendary supporters in our Lion Pride on Patreon. And we have town hall meetings, the networking. What we're building in there is truly tremendous. And I will tell the item that money is being made, being spent. I know because I'm giving referrals to people who are getting access, and the only reason I know what these people do is because they're in my Lion Pride on Patreon and we're interacting. So it's a great way to be a part of a network of like-minded people, serious people. We're going to change the world. This channel started as a vision. It started as a thought, and then His Majesty gave Iman the inspiration with the Queen, because I can't do anything without the Queen, to bring this into manifestation. And the growth, the development of the platform is a proof to I and I of the divinity of His Majesty, because it becomes manifest, it becomes real. It couldn't take on life of its own if it wasn't rooted in history. That means it already was from before the foundation of the earth was laid. This was already in motion. So we are merely the fulfillment. And in the same way, our guest today is bringing a conference into fulfillment. She is creating something around the sacrament, around the ganja, around the herb, so that the architecture, because that is what this period that we're in, my brethren Kadamawi Knife would call it the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing, bringing forth, we're manifesting our thoughts about Zion that's in us, that inner calm, because Zion has to manifest inside before Zion can manifest externally. So that inner calm, that inner beauty that is within I and I is becoming manifest. And this sister, if you haven't seen her story, you need to watch the story. Sistah Aisha, she was the former assistant minister of agriculture for the Virgin Islands, highly esteemed, worked agricultural colleges, the pedigree. When I met this sister, this sister, first thing me here to say in the Nyabingi Tabernacle is we need to bring some young people here and hear what they want to say. And so said, so done. The next day, full up the tabernacle with young people, and young people the children of Rastafari blocking their sound. So this is, you know what I mean? She's always about the building. So tonight we're gonna do a deep dive. This is high level reasoning tonight. Our international president, Attorney Sharon Murray Powell, in the building. High level, you know what I mean? She said, greetings on the train, but hey, Rumi, VI is where the 420 vibes will be. And we're going to talk about the whole energy. Breaking announcement will be made today as well, because I and I will be there. But before we get there, we uploaded we uploaded, hold on one moment, we uploaded our episode with Wadi God, one of Trinidad legend, Wadi God. He gave a master class in this reasoning on touring, what he has learned. That first clip has just dropped, so make sure you check it out. You make sure that you support. We have some big names coming on the platform this month. Already secured the guest for the 70,000 subscriber special episode. Boy, may I tell you, the blessings in this time are ceaseless. So make sure support Wadi God, and we're making an effort to put everyone's contact information. So if you don't see a contact information, send us a message. We want to make sure that each video has contact information so that we can channel capital to them, so that when the item are watching these ones, if you love their work, you're actually sending them $10, $5, $20. We are using the every mickle mecca muckle philosophy here on the Lion Voice Network, otherwise known as 1 cocoa full basket. This is the philosophy that we're using to fuel the revolution, because none of us have the wagga money to uplift the nation, but all of us have capital passing through our hands, and we are saying rewire your brain so that every month you're investing in people in your community that are doing awesome work, that are doing powerful work. So if it's not Lion Voice, and we encourage you to support Lion Voice monthly as part of the Lion Pride on Patreon, but if it's not us, find one of the guests that you like. And again, go in the description. We're going to try to make sure we have contact information on every video. Go and support that guest. Send them some resources. Let's get the capital. 70,000. If we have 50,000 people giving $10 to a guest, that would be $500,000 that we just capitalize. This is how we're going to employ our people. Automatically, these are people. Remember, if you come on the Lion Voice Network, you know, particularly as Rastafari, you are doing something positive. So these people now getting this capital, they're going to immediately pull in other people who they work with and employ them. This is how we're going to liberate ourselves in this Armageddon time. There's no one coming from the sky. There's no one that's gonna manifest that you never know, and he's a handsome ras from over so, and the man just come with a cape and him just make it. That is not happening, brethren and sisters. It's the same ones where you know from them time there, just have to move different, and we have to come together because the work never stops. We've disproved that theory that Rastafari is not doing anything. Look how much works. We have over 1,000 videos on the platform of Rastafari from all over the earth doing mighty works. So that myth that nothing is happening in Rastafari, we don't do nothing with the smoking, that is a myth. It's gone. We crushed that. Now we want to connect the dots, and we need the capital to make the work go, and the capital comes from the collective. I want the item. I'm going to keep on drilling that until we manifest the word sound to power. That is how we manifest the power. Collective security. I've been hearing a lot of brethren talk about how we're disobedient because His Majesty told the Rastafari brethren them organize and centralize, and we have taken so long to do that, but it's happening. Give thanks, and we are witnessing the uprising. All right, housekeeping out of the way. Big up Frontline Books, Raseku Tafari. Big up all of our sponsors. We have some new sponsors coming on board. If you have sent me a message, patience, we will deal with everything. We're setting up some infrastructure to kind of better deal with ones who want to advertise on the platform. If you have a product or service, we give thanks. Send us a message. You have a book you want to promote, an album, CD, mixtape, make us an offer. We send you our package, we negotiate. We're building an ecosystem here. And now is the best time to get in because, again, we're growing. Get on board while the thing is still growing. Don't wait till we get Wagga Wagga and then you start cuss me because you can't reach I. Don't do that to I, please, because it's just scale. You can't deal with everything right now. Even I can't read all the comments on all the videos them anymore. It's too much. One time I used to answer all of them. You see, so it's scale. So now is a good time, family, to come on board the Lion Voice Network. All right, we're long-winded, but we do give thanks because tonight is going to be a classic episode. Get your ital snacks, get your provisions ready because tonight's guest is a heavy weight. She is, when it comes on to agriculture, authoritative voice. She has started a non-profit in the VI. We're going to hear a little bit about her works, working with young girls and instilling confidence. You know what I mean? She's a student of Rastafari, but she also has a public profile that is, it's top tier. You know, she step in a room, consultant work. The top, again, former assistant minister of agriculture for the VI. Now she has established a conference which inevitably will be one of the landmark spaces in the ganja and the business of cannabis. Please, Lion, Pride, put your hands together in your house and help us to welcome the great Empress Diana Collins, aka Sistah Aisha. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Greetings, Rastafari. I give thanks for having me on again. And greetings to the community at large. Just sending love and blessings and strength, highly power and strength to all and all and all and I, all over. Give thanks. Blessings.
Wow. We have already had this reasoning. We don't have to go into the time machine and get your history from you were a little girl. We don't need to do that tonight. Tonight, we're coming with a purpose and a mission. I have a slideshow that I want to bring up here. But first, before we do that, talk to us about what is this conference that you have created?
Yes, sir. The buzz is about enVIzion Cannabis 2026 conference. I'm hosting a cannabis educational conference here in the Virgin Islands on St. Croix on April 18th, 19th, and 20th. The Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday is 420. This conference is a gathering of experts, unparalleled gathering of experts from all over, Jamaica, from California, from Vermont, from Washington, D.C., from New York, and then, of course, in the Virgin Islands, recognizing that Rastafari has been growing cannabis for so many decades, and we have that indigenous knowledge on cannabis growth. Now that it's making its mark and becoming a legitimate industry, is now time for us as Rastafari to take our place and engage. Don't be shy, be bold and step forward. You don't have to hide no more. And, agriculture is the magical plant. I'm an agriculturist. It's hard to be an agriculturist and ignore the value of that one plant, one of the biggest cash crops in the agriculture industry. This conference is what I call an imperial standard conference. We hail him, His Imperial Majesty and Empress Menen, and that's this imperial stamp of excellence. And I always say, as Rastafari, we have to pursue our brand of excellence and our potential for imperialism and being the best version of I and I self that I and I can be. There's no competition amongst I and I. It's just competition within I and I. So I and I can manifest our truest potential. And this conference is an example of that and bringing that to the industry. I mean, here in the VI, we are just embarking on legalization. They have just instituted or provided license for dispensaries and production. And this conference provides an opportunity for us to look at markets that are ahead of us and learn from those challenges and successes they have had. So we don't have to redo the wheel and have the same mishaps that other industries have. So we're bringing in experts from areas that are already ahead of us so that we can learn and we can grow, but we can also teach. Because with our Rastafari community in the VI, we have been doing this thing and there are a lot of skills locally that we have to share and engage with. But most importantly, the conference is an opportunity after the conference to develop what I call the Peace International think tank, a regional collaborative of entities, from the Virgin Islands, from Jamaica, Antigua, Trinidad, the wider Caribbean region, including and adding places like Vermont, who they are growing cannabis legally, and there's so much we can learn from their steps ahead. Even linking with the people in Ghana who have an interest in these things. And then at some point soon, we will plan industry visits where we can go on a field trip to look at what's going on here and what's going on there and learn and bring it home. But the most significant piece of it is that as a regional support think tank, we can support each other's when we're going through struggles, when we need a voice, and it will strengthen I and I across the way. And that's the whole focus. We can do seed and genetic strain exchange. We can share knowledge. We can share resources, and we can just build and grow together. And
I love it.
unity is strength. So that's the whole concept.
And I want to just drop an exclusive right now because she hinted at it. She said Washington D.C. will be there. But she wasn't talking about Trump. No. She was
Not
talking
about
I and I. This is breaking news. The Lion Voice Network will be there in St. Croix once again. We'll be there to tell the story. So we will have exclusive content that we'll show here on the network about the whole settings, exclusive interviews, the whole fullness. So again, this is also this is why you hear I'm stressing the capital and the investment. We're going to share the link as well as one of the media sponsors. And I'm asking the Lion Pride, even if you're not going to the conference, buy a ticket, support the movements. This is how we have to move when we're building our institutions. Now that we have a global reach, we need to use that to feed capital into this, because she's gonna have to start planning. I did the Jamaica Music Conference for a decade, so we know conferences. They're crucial for any ecosystem. The conference is a critical part because the networking that takes place, the knowledge sharing, the workshops, and it's a recharge for a lot of people in industries. That's why every industry has conferences, because you go there to be recharged, to meet new people. So we need our own. And the fact that a Rastafari system who has her competence, let me say that, who has her level of competence, is starting an institution like this. This is a crucial historical marking point, and it needs to be supported. So we're going to be putting out the call here on the platform. We are on board at 1,000%. The item know that, and we're asking our Lion Pride again, purchase tickets. If there's merch, we're going to talk about that maybe next year or moving on. It's an ongoing thing, so we'll keep you posted in terms of how you can support. That being said, let me pull up this presentation, because we have one of the foremost agricultural minds here. The tech Sistah Aisha, simple enough. one of the foremost minds in agriculture on the planet Earth. And we are going to get advantage of her expertise by going through. I just wanted you to hear the thought that has been put into this event. I'm just going to move the slides. I'm going to even take myself off the screen, and I just control the whole settings. And if you need me to come forward, just let me know. I'll come forward because I won't be able to hear. But just let me know when you want to move the slide. All right?
Yes, sir. It's thanks. Yep. So again, we're talking about enVIzion. Notice the spelling. NVI for the Virgin Islands and Zion, enVIzion. Cannabiz is a business endeavor 2026, cultivating a sustainable future, a blueprint for equity and opportunity in the Virgin Islands and the wider Caribbean. Next slide. And that's the whole concept. It's a new chapter for us here in the VI and in most Caribbean regions and other places in the world. We had the Virgin Islands Cannabis Use Act, which was signed into law in January of 2023. And that legalized adult use, medicinal and sacramental cannabis. And this landmark legislation, it really opens the door for a new industry, new entrepreneurship, and a new vision for economic development. So this essentially is an opportunity to build an industry that ensures local empowerment and restorative justice. And when we say restorative justice, say over the decades as Rastafari, we've dealt a lot with the brunt of the discrimination against cannabis. Enough ones of us have lost homes and funds and just our pride in the community, and a lot has been lost, our jobs, and just because of the sacred herb. Now that is legal, it's only appropriate that I step out boldly into the arena and engage and be sure that our youth are prepared to benefit from this new budding industry. No pun intended, but it is a budding industry, And our territory, next slide, my brethren, our territory really stands at a crossroads. A lot of times when we have these type of initiatives, these new industries entering our communities, we see the extractive model used, where we keep repeating mistakes from other markets, we marginalize local cultivators and entrepreneurs, and then we prioritize outside profit over community reinvestment. In this case, we want to use the regenerative model where we can build a sustainable, community-rooted industry. And we want to champion local ownership and cultural heritage. And then we want to create a legacy of equity and shared prosperity. And this is an opportunity for I to step in the ring and get involved and engage and make sure that we have a legacy of sustainable success for our youth. Next one, please. So, we can't just hope. We can't sit around and hope. We have to plan. We need a blueprint. And this conference was designed, I mentioned before, as an imperial standard, An imperial standard, an intimate summit is not for everyone. It's for people of like minds and people who really want to learn and engage and share and build. It's a foundational blueprint. And again, equitable. We're trying to establish equity, and we want to sustain this industry within the USVI and the wider Caribbean region. So for the cannabis, enVIzion Cannabis 2026, we want to have actionable knowledge, meaning that you come to the conference, you learn items, you learn things that you can apply right away. There's nothing you can put on the shelf. We want to deal with cultural relevance, recognizing again that as Rastafari, we've been doing this for some time. And we want to build this regional community and have this lasting impact where we can support I along the way. Next slide. Now, there are 4 principles that guide our design. I keep saying our design because I design is a design globally, is a design locally, and it's a design that we have to engage in for success. My big deal is actionable insight and not fluff. All the unnecessary attachments that cost a lot. Every session we provide will be engineered to provide practical knowledge. Practical knowledge that entrepreneurs, cultivators, and policymakers can apply immediately. Intimacy, creates influence. We want to build relationships. A lot of times with success in business, entrepreneurship is really based on the relationships and the trust you build with one-on-ones. And that could only occur from spending time and engaging with each other and supporting each other and understanding what challenges each of us face in our individual communities. So this gathering is really designed for between 50 and 75 key decision makers, ensuring that every connection is meaningful. So if you're going to plan to attend, you need to register and register early, because I'm definitely going to be cutting it off, at 75. Then sustainability as a strategy. We no longer could afford to just do things without considering how we sustain ourselves long term and how we focus on environmental and economic sustainability. It's not just about doing the work, but how can we benefit? How can our families benefit economically? And then how our environment could be sustained. So we're talking about organic type cultivation and eco-friendly packaging and thinking about long-term business viability. Because when you think about sustainability, you have to think economics. We cannot afford any longer to ignore economics. That's always been our downfall. That's good enough. We are of imperial quality. We do deserve the best. We really deserve the best. We're striving for the best. We are not the least amongst them. And we deserve that. And we have to be willing to work towards excellence again, that imperial standard. And every one of us, each one of us, have everything within us and around us to create that imperial standard. Is really already within. His Imperial Majesty ordained that the standard has been set, the example has been set. We just have to follow the script that His Imperial Majesty left, and Empress Menen. And the final principle is equity is non-negotiable. We are committed to learning from the past and building an inclusive industry that empowers those, especially those impacted by prohibition. Prohibition simply meaning the times when it was not acceptable to use cannabis, and then we were always traumatized and punished and went through a lot of hardships because of the use of cannabis. So next slide, please. So the blueprint has 4 pillars, regulation and policy, because again, we live in Babylon and we are regulated and there is policy. We don't have to be mad with the policymakers. We really have to build those relationships so we can ensure that we have a say in how those policies and those regulations are designed, because they impact I so much and everyone in our community. So it's really critical that we don't look at the regulators as individuals and the policymakers as individuals across the fence. We have to be part of that too, so we can be part of creating that sustainability. The next pillar, the second pillar, is culture and sustainability. Recognizing, again, I have been growing cannabis for decades and decades and decades, So we could also utilize that cultural aspect. We have this indigenous knowledge, and that's applicable. We take it for granted because, we Rasta people and we out there in a silo per se. You out in Zion growing your things and doing your things and coming up with really scientific strategies and doing some amazing things. Maybe you're doing it in private, but the truth is now is the time when we need to share those practices and empower each other so we can move forward and make a space for the youth. Commerce and operations, because in this industry, we making money is about generating revenue and dealing with commerce and trade and across the ways. We're not there to across the borders as yet, but within our communities. So we have to think again economics. And not finally, but the fourth one is never final. As long as we breathe, it's never final, right? Equity and community. Equity meaning giving each one exactly what they need to level up. I know the difference between equity, between equity and sharing, giving everybody being non-discriminatory is with equity, you're really trying to reach the bar. And if you low in the bar, you might need more to reach the bar. If you right here, you would need this much to reach. So with equity, we give everybody the tools they need so they can be successful And that's one of the pillars as well. Now, when we talk about regulation and policy on the next slide, we're talking about navigating the landscape from local compliance to global trends. Because again, this is a global industry. It's not just about what's happening locally. And for this conference, we're bringing in big guns. We have our attorney, Cheryl Murray Powell. She would be speaking about policy trends from an international level and a national level. And I'm really excited about engaging on that aspect. It's what inspires me a lot in these times as Rastafari for decades and decades is the fact that in every career area, at every level of expertise that's needed to drive success within our communities, we have Rastafari entities with those skill sets. And then we have to consider that we are bringing up the next generation. So we have to prepare them for all industries, and the cannabis industry is no different. And not just prepare them for the industry, but prepare them for the lucrative positions, the technical positions, the scientific positions that drive the cannabis industry. We don't just have to be the ones out in the field growing, but all the testing and all the setting up and the design and all the analysis and those things. That's what we want to get at. And that's how we have to support our youth to engage. At this conference also under regulation, we will have policy updates by our local Virgin Islands Office of Cannabis Regulation. We hear directly from them on licensing, timelines, successes, and challenges. And of course, we have to talk about cannabis finance. We have experts who will tackle accounting, taxes, pricing, banking solutions, and registered tax preparers will be there. And we will also have a dispensary owner there from Vermont who will talk about how we get from the field, to harvest, to preparing for dispensary and distribution. What are the challenges? What are the needs? What it looks like? How you do that? And understanding those steps are critical in this journey. Our next pillar is culture and sustainability. Next slide, please, Kwasi. And this is where we honor our heritage. We always have to give tribute to the ones who've walked the walk and did the struggle and pay homage. So we have to honor the heritage of our Rastafari people and our African people in general. I'm just right now in my life and career, it's really about Rastafari development because we've been walking this walk for too long and we got to leave a legacy for the youth then. And it's all about next generation. We've done some great strides. I know it may seem as though we haven't progressed, but when you look at other, I don't want to say religion, but other something, whatever that word means to you, Rastafari is young in comparison to other religions out there, and we have made great stride. And globally, we've had a big impact. You can't go nowhere in this world as a Rastafari and someone don't recognize Rastafari or say Rastafari or have a certain respect for Rastafari. And that's huge. And sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for the amazing sacrifices as Rastafari people we did. Like when I was young and have to go through all the struggles and, in school and in the job and the discrimination and the dislike. But as long as we know we are of imperial quality and we are excellent and we have that confidence to work towards and strive for that excellence, everything will be just irie because regardless of what they say and do, they can discriminate against everything else. But excellence, everybody wants to be on a winning team. And as long as whatever you're dealing with come with excellence, you will have the support and you will have the love and respect, So again, we're talking about honoring heritage, protecting genetics, and building a greener future. And with that said, we are going to harp on the sacramental cannabis and the ITIL standard certification that, our group, Kwasi was the chair, I was the co-chair, and we worked diligently for 15 to 16 months and met on most every Sunday for a few hours. And we created this amazing technical document that I'm so excited about. It's as, you could compare this document to organic certification, halal certification, kosher certification. and it is as good of a technical document, and I would know, trust me, because we had great industry experts, Dr. Marcel, Emmanuel from Jamaica, we had Kadamawi Knife, we had Ras Kwazi, we have we have Attorney Sharon Murray, we had Ras Tizadi Tafari, we had Ras Bobby, we had individuals, from Ethiopia to Ghana to this all over, and all Rastafari creatives with a range of expertise. So this document is top notch, top shelf, and we are waiting to roll it out soon. The plan was to roll it out before now, but then it's through the Rastafari Mansion organization in Jamaica, and then they had that hurricane, and our focus switched to hurricane relief. But it's coming, and it's coming. So at the conference, we will speak about it because it's like advocates from Jamaica, the VI, and we talk about religious use. And yes, we talk about cannabis because it's important, but food is more important, and I have to eat. So we encourage, even with cannabis, food intercrop with cannabis, because regardless of what, cannabis is food too, and the seeds have high protein value, but yet we still have to grow a wide variety of food. We're going to talk about developing and maintaining strains. That's so critical. Our indigenous strains, our land-raised genetics, the kind of strains that are indigenous to certain areas. We need to reestablish those and work on those and developing our local varieties and strains that work best in our environment. And that's something we have to work and build towards, that's very important. And then sustainable commercial cultivation, because now for the first time we talk about commercial cultivation. So we're not talking about 1, 2, 3, 5 plants. We're talking about a lot of plants. So then there are different strategies that you will have to use. And then there might be a little learning curve. Thus, after the conference, we can create that regional think tank where we can learn and share knowledge and share vibes, successes, failures, talking about indoor, outdoor growing, talking about organic growing. There's just so much involved, So next slide. So pillar 3 is when we talk about commerce and operations, because again, we're not doing all this for doing its sake, so we can burn can. We're really doing it so that we could be economically viable. We can help sustain our families, and we can be, who we need to be as imperial beings. So it takes money. And I know money is not the most important thing, but it's always great to be economically strong, and why not? We're not the least amongst them. So with commerce and operations, we're talking about from harvest to dispensary, the playbook for success, So we have a dispensary owner from Vermont, an organic grower who prepares product for that dispensary, and they will talk about quality testing protocols and how they meet industry standards. Because again, everything we do in this industry is designed and defined to meet certain compliance guidelines. So you have to meet those guidelines. We even talk about eco-friendly packaging, strategies for adopting sustainable and compliant brand enhancing packaging solutions over single-use plastics. Because again, we can't just keep using plastics and destroying our environment. So even within this industry, we have to use organic or eco-friendly packaging, which is critically important. And as part of commerce and operations, we must discuss the medical benefits of cannabis. So we will be discussing therapeutic applications for local populations, lending medical legitimacy to the emerging market. Because again, we have to demystify the concept of medical marijuana. People think it's not a real thing, but it is healthcare. It has always been healthcare. It's just in recent decades that they changed that trajectory for their own selfish needs. But it's not about the value of the plant. It's about their need to destroy industry so other industries can survive, like the cotton industry and the nylon industry and other industry, rope making industry, because cannabis provides all those things. Next slide is on equity and community, where we learn from the past to build an inclusive industry. And when we say inclusive, it means including everybody who are stakeholders, who can benefit, who can grow and develop. So we are talking about the indigenous growers from before. We're talking about the people with the technical college skills or the technical skills. And we're talking about next generation young people so they could enter and learn in this emerging industry. And we're recognizing the fact that the individuals who went to college and have that technical knowledge, it doesn't mean that their knowledge is of greater value than the indigenous knowledge. The knowledge that you learn from their doing, that's heavy and significant and important. So I have to say that our content area experts are really the individuals who have been doing the grind consistently for a long time. So don't get it twisted and presume you can just go to a university, get a degree, and be the smartest one in the room. It doesn't work like that. Practical, hands-on experience trumps college book learning every time. And the critical success of anybody who goes to university or get that type of learning is the hands-on application of that learning. That's when learning comes alive. It's not enough to know. It's important, it's more important to how you apply the knowledge, to how you apply what you know. And that is very critical. Again, with this pillar, we're talking about community reinvestment. We have to explore models for using cannabis tax. You know, they talk about all the tax revenue is generated because there's even generate tax from sacramental use. You know, people who are growing it just for their personal use, that's tax here in the VI. So with the community reinvestment, is trying to get input on how we that fund, those funds generated can be used to support the communities that were harmed by prohibition, the people who went through a lot. I'm not saying that that's naturally going to be the priority. It should be, it could be, and the only way it would be is if we come together and make sure steps and provide support in those directions. And importantly, we are building the network. The conference is not the end of it. The conference is just the catalyst, the beginning where we can build a network and launch a long-term regional initiative where we can come together and visit each other's operations and learn and engage and support as we can. Next slide, please. You would note that I mentioned that this is an unparalleled gathering of experts. I'm just impressed that I actually know all these people personally and they are so willing to support. And again, this is not a money-making endeavor by no means. It's all, you know, I'll be lucky if I break even, to tell the truth, and that's my focus. But when you think about the long-term value to youth, you know, to our future and to being part of this industry long-term, you know, sometimes it takes a certain investment just to make the changes you want to see. And we cannot leave the changes we want to see up to others. Again, we have to be the change. I and I have to be the change. So if you've seen something out there that you don't like, the question is what you're going to do about it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just complaining, is what you're going to do about it. So with that said, we have on our gathering experts like our executive director of the USVI Office of Cannabis Regulation. We have a cannabis cultivator, researcher, breeder, and genetics preserver with a passion for organic, earth-conscious innovations in all aspects of the cannabis and hemp spaces. We have a board chair of Minority Cannabis Business Association and a founder of Equity Workshop Tours all over the US. You know, this person develops equity and inclusive policy, educational and business support initiatives all over the US. You know, we're having a farmer and the president of the Virgin Islands Sacramento Council. This is a brother who advocated for Rastafari Sacramento cannabis use and worked with the government to ensure that locally in the VI, that Rastafari have that need or that opportunity to utilize cannabis sacramentally. And although that may be the case, the struggle is never done. This is an ongoing struggle. So it's not as if we could just do these things and leave it. It's continuous improvement over time, and that takes continuous engagement, and that takes building relationship with the policymakers and the regulators so our needs can be met. We have a a dispensary owner who is a member of the Vermont Association of Retailers Working Group. You know, this retailer is committed to promoting small businesses and family farms and environmentally sustainable practices, equity, and restorative justice. So you would notice that the theme, everybody who is going to be here has a certain kind of mindset. You know, I really like to say I like to work with like minds, you know, people who, you know, you work with them and there's no strife and there's no stress and it's just finding solutions to the problems that arise. Because in everything we do, there'll always be a problem. And nothing wrong with that. You just have to find a solution. It's not time to get mad or frustrated or whatever. You just have the toilet paper. It happens. So keep the toilet paper handy and time to clean it up. So don't be dismayed when things don't go the way you expect. Kaja is still in control. Just know that the solutions are within and around you. We have a certified CPA, a certified public accountant. She happens to be my sister, and I have great respect and regard. And she's going to be sharing information on tax preparation. She has decades of experience in tax filing, planning, bookkeeping, estate and trust taxes, and first-hand expertise in navigating the USVI financial and business landscape. So she's going to just speak about how we navigate the landscape legally, because we live in the USVI, which is US territory. So we're talking about federal income taxes and local taxes and following federal regulations. And again, don't be daunted by all the rules and regulations. We are good enough to figure it out. But again, when we work together, you know, when we join that group, when we have that support from one another, each of us have a skill. Just because I have the skills I have, it don't devalue your skills. Your skills are critically important to I, same way. So there's no judgment. All of us have a role to play, each one of us. So you're sitting there quietly in your corner and you're a quiet, humble person. I'm a quiet, humble person too. I'm just an educator. And to educate, you have to engage. So I've been doing it for a while. So it's natural for me to engage, but I much prefer to be humble and quiet in the background. And these days, I try to push the youth them, inspire, empower them, and have them take the lead. We also have a VI cannabis specialist, a former senator and sponsor of the VI Medical Cannabis Patient Care Act. And he's a VI cannabis board member and an advocate for legalization. And he's a former commissioner of Agricultural Division Irons as well. And that's enough respect. So that knowledge base will be critical to our informational setting and learning and growing. We have a national board certified foot and ankle surgeon who is a cannabis advocate and educator with a master's degree in cannabis. And she is going to speak about medical marijuana demystified. It's healthcare. And that will break a lot of the stigma because I had forgotten, I know the value of cannabis. And it's legal, right? So in planning this conference, it's not something I thought about for long. I just woke up one morning and it just came to me. I called all my people and everybody was so excited. I was inspired to do it, But in doing this planning, it reminded me of how many people in the community are anti-cannabis. And it just shows me, instead of being frustrated by that they just need to be educated. Because once they know the truth, can't deny it. You cannot deny that cannabis is a critical part of our liberty, and we need that plant for our sustenance, healthcare, and other issues. So this is a plant that's valuable. Then we have a researcher from UWI Mona campus, a cannabis cultivator, industry specialist, a botanist, a horticulturist, a crop scientist, a biological control specialist, and a post-harvest systems person. And he's going to be providing input at the conference as well. We also have our Rastafarian and social entrepreneurship advocate from UWI. He's a researcher and a real cannabis aficionado. He just the man, and has such great insight and expertise. And notice I'm not calling names because it doesn't matter who the name is, just know, say, they're top ranking, And we have a girl from Vermont who does indoor and outdoor cultivation, right, on an organic farm. I know this farm because I visited his farm. I know his wife, who's an organic farmer. She has been to my space for weeks at a time. And they have that 70-acre farm. And they just went into the business been a couple of years now, but they are recognized in Vermont for producing high quality Vermont cannabis on this 70-acre farm. And when I toured this facility in October, it was like 4 days before harvest. And it's an Airbnb, and you actually get to stay in the space and to see every step and see how meticulous everything is and how much, the HEPA filters and the type of organic inputs they use and the way, they engage and just everything and the quality of the product. It was really impressive to observe and recognizing that all the labeling and tracking of product and all that documentation is not a joke. And for us to engage, we have to follow the script. We can't just go and do what we want to do. Again, it's back to policy and regulation. And don't be slighted by all of that. It's okay. We got the capacity to do it. And I got the capacity to do it. And if one don't know, somebody know. And if somebody don't know, somebody else know. And that's why we have to unite and come together and build this regional network. So the next slide talks about intimacy as influence, is influence. And it's like you can have a conference, like a typical trade show. You can see on the slide all them dots, a lot of people buzzing around. But then when you have an intimate gathering, you have an opportunity to look at people in their eyes and engage, have side conversation, put people in groups, and then we can build those relationships and get to learn each other and understand each other and sustain those relationships. And that is what I feel is required for success within the industry. Additionally, here you would have direct access, to every key regulator. It's like they're going to be there, but you will be able to communicate with them. I've been to conferences where the presenters are so important. We just have to sit and listen. This is a conference where we get to share, we get to meet with legislators, cultivators, future license owners, all these people, current license owners, all these people are in the room. We will have meaningful dialogue, not just talking, We will move beyond the sales pitch, We don't just have people who are hedge hunters looking for opportunities. It will be a sincere gathering of individuals who really care and want to build genuine relationships in an environment that's designed for frank conversation where we can be open. But most importantly, we gotta be kind to each other. We ain't gonna have none of that roughing up. I don't believe in roughing up. I always say be kinder than necessary because everyone you meet is going through some personal struggle. It's rough out there. We don't have to rough each other up. We can have kind, gentle, supportive conversation. And that would be some of the terms of engagement. As a teacher, before class starts, you got to go over the rules of engagement. One person talk at a time. Raise your hand when you speak. Be respectful of people and watch your tone. Sometimes we don't intend to, but if we don't pay attention to the way we speak to people, sometimes we be hurting feelings and we don't even know. So you got to be mindful of these things when you're in the space. And again, unrivaled influence, we opportunity to position your brand at the very foundation of the UVI's legal cannabis industry. And that is golden, really golden. Next slide, please. We're almost there. The next slide talks about the legacy. What happens? The legacy begins the day after the conference. That's the exciting part. That's where I want to get to. Because the conference now is a catalyst, not a conclusion. We are launching an ecosystem for sustained growth and collaboration. So we developed the Peace International USVI Cannabis Equity Think Tank. Am I here? Am I there? I saw something that says I was losing connectivity, but we're still here. So the think tank is going to be a permanent coalition to advise on policy, provide technical support and mentorship or being generous to new entrepreneurs and old ones too. So we get, if you're new in the industry, you don't have to start off from scratch. You can be part of the think tank. You can share resources, share information, watch you so you don't make the same side steps. And then we can develop a seed savers and exchange club where we can have like a regional program to preserve and share local language genetics. And that way we can protect our Caribbean region biodiversity when it comes to cannabis. Now we may have to work out some permissions or access so we are able to transport seeds across borders, You may have to fill out some phytosanitary paperwork and do certain documentation. But whatever we do in these times around cannabis and around anything, we really have to do it in consideration of the rules. And we ain't going back to jail for no cannabis no more. We're done with that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to follow the rule and work within the parameters they set. And this connected regional network will be an empowered community of partners across the wider Caribbean region, the Virgin Islands, and the globe, including places like Ghana and Vermont, only because these are relationships we already have established. California, and build the relationships and then grow, expand and develop. I'm excited about that. And finally, we are fostering a network of global knowledge. We're not just doing it for our little communities because Jack gave us the whole world. And we live on little islands in the Caribbean and we live in different places. But remember, the whole world is ours. And we have to think globally and act globally, which is critical. So again, on the map, it shows the same regions, the BVI, the British Virgin Islands, Dominica, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts Nevis. I know they're going through some struggles now. Ghana, Jamaica, Antigua, Trinidad and Tobago, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Vermont as a start. It's not exclusive, it's inclusive. And as we grow, we will build capacity. Now, none of this is possible without funding. So on the last side, this is an invitation to build the future together. And in partnering with enVIzion Cannabis 2022, you can become a founding supporter of a responsible, equitable, and prosperous cannabis industry in the USDI and the wider Caribbean. We had sponsorship packages from Diamond sponsorship, Diamond Partners for $2,000, where you have exclusive title sponsorship, keynote recognition, global ecosystem impact. Then we have a gold partner at $1,000 for strong brand alignment, access to a key network, and high impact exposure. And nothing is too little. The community partner, and they have been really showing up for me during this conference planning for $500 cash or in-kind support. So I've had people who've been just supporting. I've had Yucca Kitchen, our United Caribbean Association with the best ITAL you want to have. They are going to be sponsoring the food. Big up Sistah Aisha and Rasfeda. I'm really thankful for that breakfast and lunch that you will provide. I can feel it now. We have other partners like ITAL in Paradise, Christopher Mombelli. He's going to provide and host activities for our group of presenters who will be joining us. And we that demonstrates the local commitment, and they're willing to engage in this emerging industry. We have other partners who are supporting. Just today, our local telephone Wi-Fi company, they agreed to provide Wi-Fi for the event. And again, remember earlier I said that this event is actionable insight and no fluff. So we're not having it at nobody hotel and paying big money or nothing like that. We're actually having it at a historic location here on St. Croix at the Friesenberg Pond. It's the largest freshwater reserve we have in the territory. Currently, it's an environmental concern because it's being choked out by invasive plants, water hyacinths. Our focus is to work over time to regenerate that pond and make sure we can recharge our aquifer, make sure that this is not a mess we leave for our youth to clean up. And this is part of the idea of having a conference there, is to have that parity where we can see that if we don't maintain and sustain and care for not the agriculture too, but the cannabis industry, it will end up like that pond. Even though it's critical to our infrastructure and development and water is critical, we still didn't maintain it, we still didn't sustain it, and it is an issue. So again, we're trying to get that in-kind support and having one-on-ones. We have people who show up, landscaper, assistant, we're cleaning up the space, the Department of Agriculture supporting us big time. Thank you, Commissioner Peterson. with their vehicles and the staff helping. Landy is helping. Everybody is really putting their effort out. Rambo, I really appreciate all the love and support from my Vida family, Virgin Islands Department of Agriculture family throughout the process. And that's another important thing about um, breaking barriers or burning bridges in what we do. I know I'm no longer assistant commissioner until I step away from the role, but I have an excellent relationship with the department and the staff and the leadership. And that's what it's about. You can't afford to be breaking or what do you call it, breaking down bridges or causing strife amongst each other. We have to continue building, and that's really important. So I give thanks to Asquazi for allowing me this time to go over the script for the vision for the conference.
Yes, give thanks, give thanks. Mightyful. I think everyone who is watching live and for the hundreds that will watch the replay, they understand what I mean when I said this is one of our great minds within Rastafari. You see how well it was articulated, and the item also see the need why we need to fund ourselves because we have the competence.
Right.
We have, His Majesty has prepared this system for this work, for this time. You know what I mean? Kadamawi Haile Selassie govern the heart. And if we have faith and if we have confidence in ourselves, then we will fund these things and we will support these things. You know what I mean? I'm just honored that I'm in a position to tell the story. When I started this network, it was answering a call, but that doesn't mean the specific things that you're going to be doing. You know what I mean? You just know you're answering the call and then you go. It was because of this channel that I went to St. Croix for the first time. Big up to Fari, to Zadi, who brought us forward with the Naya Bing girls. And that is when I first met Sistah Aisha. And I did not know when I met her at that time, she was assistant commissioner, that we would be collaborating on this work. And that she would, and we would meet in Ghana. And
excuse me, sorry, I have to step away. My phone needs to be charged, and I have my charge in the other room. So
no problem. Just charge it and come forward. But I'm long-winded, Sistah Aisha. I don't know if you know that.
Well, when I come back, you're gonna cut it.
But yes, family. You know what I mean? These are the things that we have to fund. You know what I mean? It's all well and good to watch and feel irie, that we have these ones, but we need the funding. And the only thing holding us forward is ourselves, because again, with the every mika meka moko theory, one cocoa full basket. Ras Roots overstand. The item who watch this know that every live Ras Roots $5-10. If we had 100 Ras Roots, we would be irie, and it don't take anything more than a $5 from that individual. So we can apply that across the board to all of our workers, to all of our industry in terms of the initial phase of funding. And yes, we want to support these businesses and build that culture of supporting. This is part of the architecture of Zion on Earth. So, I have so many things that you could be doing now, an illustrious profession. You alluded to it and you touched on it, but why take all of this time? Because I know the painstaking amount of time it takes to do a conference,
I wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking straight. I woke up one morning and it just kind of dawned on me. They had just passed license. I was looking at the news and, I was get up early in the morning and, that's when I was getting a lot of work done and a lot of thoughts just go through my mind. And I don't know, Jah just whispered in my ear. Something happened. And then I just called everyone, and everyone was very encouraging, and said, yeah, I call OCR, I call, people I trust, I call
Yeah.
Quasi, I call all the speakers,
Yes.
and everybody was like, yes, and excited, yes. And I just said, let me go for it. It just turned out to be a lot of effort, a
Yeah.
lot of investment, but I honestly feel it's worth it. I haven't had a irritating moment. It's just been work.
Yeah.
And that's how you get good at what you do. You work, you do it. And that's how you get good. And we can't be afraid to put the effort out. That's how you grow. That's how you build energy. That's, the more you use the arm, the stronger you're going to be, or whatever. So either use it or lose it. But with everything else I do, it's been a bit
Yes.
challenging. And with things like this, yeah, you can work with a team, but when you have the vision and you know exactly what you want, sometimes it's difficult. And unless you're really paying people, the consistency, they come in and they come out and they mean well, but that consistency in getting that stuff done, it could be lacking. So once
Yes.
you commit to something, I committed to it. So now, regardless of what, I had to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
happening and it's going to be great. I'm really proud of how it's turning out. I'm excited. It's bigger than I thought I envisioned, but I should have known. And I could have made it like a big, big deal. But again, I wanted no fluff. So,
Yes.
the price is only $100. And it seemed like a big number, but no, it's for 3 days of conference. And
Of course.
I can eat and a space and the tents and the porta potty and the
No, that's
Wi-Fi
very,
and the
very,
speakers
very,
and the
yeah.
gifts and the bags and the, program and the flyer and the logo and the this and the, it don't stop. It's just ongoing, but it's worth it. But the most important, exciting piece today is when I was at the University of the Virgin Islands campus, my home. I like to be there a lot in the cafeteria. They cook a nice ital, nice. They have a nice meal. And I met with a student who was assisting me, and we put up flyers on campus because I was able to get support for at least 10 college students to participate complimentary, which is cool. And that support actually came from one of my former students in Lakeland, Florida. Gerald, big up Gerald Villazon. And he's just my student from the 1994 in Homestead, Florida, where I taught agriculture at a huge 28-acre land lab with every piece of equipment to prepare the soil to harvesting beans. We had a harvester, a bean picker, we had school trucks, we had tractors, like a few tractors. I used to teach tractor driving. I had a secretary, I had a groundskeeper, had real work, real production, students making money, selling food to the packing house, like real production strategy, a tropical fruit grove. We had ornamental plants in a 5-acre nursery, had plant contracts for the Department of Transportation. Um, and, as a Rasta woman, most of my students were rednecks, and I had to show them that love is just love, it's just one creator. And they had to learn that it takes all kinds. So they learn how to love. And
Yeah.
this same Gerald, he called me like years after graduation and said, Miss Collingwood, man, when we going down to the islands, girl? He used to tease me, and it was funny because I say, okay, let me go. And we actually came to the Virgin Islands and St. Thomas. We went to Bordeaux. We met all the Rastafari brethren, and they called him King Rasta. And he was just a regular bald head Hispanic dude, half white, half Hispanic, but full of love. And we always keep in touch. He's in agriculture. He does all type of different businesses. He does well. And he just hooked me up with those scholarships when I told him I really wanted to bring in some more students. And I give thanks for that. So as
Give
because of
thanks.
that, we would have 10 students who would be there and engage, because that's the term. They don't just come to sit down and look. They have to ask questions,
Of
engage,
course.
and
Of
learn.
course.
So one of the things I'm doing at the conference too is talking about careers in the cannabis industry. Across the cannabis industry, I've been working on that presentation, and that is positive. I'm learning a lot too in putting that together. So I'm looking forward to doing that presentation, especially for the next generation and whoever else is interested. But everyone will get to be part of that But I want to tell you all some of the other highlights from the conference. We're going to do hands-on activities. We'll be doing things like defoliation methods. We'll be doing increasing cloning success, demonstrating how to do cloning, and not just demonstrating how to do it, but learning from different people have different ways and experiences doing things. So we will be learning from each other, but we also have experts doing the demonstration on real life plants. We're going to study trichome readiness and looking at trichomes with a little piece of glass thing, like what the jeweler looks like, up to look at precious stones and diamonds and things like that. We'll be talking about diseases and pests and addressing those things and other environmental challenges. And we'll have a cannabinoid testing machine demo and free THC tests for homegrown products. If anybody probably on the second day can bring products and we can go through the testing procedure and talk about different types of testing that's required throughout the process. We also going to do on Monday. Oh, don't get ahead of myself. On Sunday, on Sunday evening, the 19th, there is the local Virgin Islands Cannabis Cup competition, judging and results that will occur at Levels Nightclub. So all the participants from this conference will be able to attend that event at a discount rate, which is amazing. We have to support each other. It's not a competition amongst us. We have to support each other. And on Monday, we would do a industry tour. We're going to look at diversified production farms like in the island. Yes, they're not cannabis farms, but when we do these visits, we would talk about how these diversified farms could lend themselves to growing cannabis and have those conversations. And again, during that morning, we'll be building relationships by communicating with each other, So we'll be visiting a small farm, a large farm, a sustainable organic production farm, and we'll be visiting some greenhouses and hydroponic farms so we can see those type of growing systems and talk about how they apply to the cannabis industry. Of course, we'll have free giveaways, a gift bag. I've been working with different cannabis professionals and enthusiasts to bring items and, we're going to have this irrigation kits we're going to give away to all attendees and different industry trinkets and door prizes. And again, I mentioned the Cannabis Cup VI competition on April 19th at Levels, beginning at 4 p.m. until there'll be music and every social activity you want to do around cannabis. And again, at Serenity's Nest here on St. Croix, that's the chill spot where magic begins every time at 4:20. So again, that's the 4:20 countdown and the kind of social. But beginning at 2, all the industry professionals will be there to just have talks with the community. If there's any questions or anybody just want to get a freebie engagement and unable to come to the conference. And of course, we're going to have plant-based farm-to-table treats prepared by some of our local vegan connoisseurs. In the VI, we eat a lot of ITAL, and ITAL is kind of not cheap at all. Easily, on a daily, you can pay $25 for lunch, easily. If you get carried away, you end up paying 35, 30 easily as well. And you can go get a lower level, 15, 16 or something, but we always want equality food, right? Local, plant-based, farm-to-table type of food. So we have, again, Yuka Kitchen, Sister Wala, give thanks for the support with so much joy and happiness. Rasfilai with his strictly ITAL juices and, he's going to support and his ITAL food. ITAL in Paradise going to host a reception for all my guests who are coming into town. And then we have Raw Vegan. One of my special guests, he does just eat raw. And I made sure I have raw food available for them. So those are some of the highlights that will occur during the conference.
Wow. That sounds amazing. This is a special year. If you know about conferences and things like that, the first year is always a special sip. If you can attend the first year, that in terms of your networking, bang for your buck. The first year is always, because as she said, that's when everybody's accessible. Before the conference scale, that's when you can really sit down and have meaningful relationships with people. So if you are in this industry as a Rastafari, Pan African, and you can afford it, make sure that try to make sure you're there. And if not, still support. We're gonna share the link. We're gonna have community posts that will be giving some updates and different promotion. We are affiliated as a media sponsor, so we definitely want our audience to support this so that it can become an institution. And the more resources that Sister Aisha have, she can fly in different people from different regions. She can, it gives her flexibility in terms of how she crafts the program every year. And we don't want our brilliant minds having to worry about capital. That should be the least of our worries, because we have the numbers. Every mika make a mucker. This is not asking the item to fund a conference. This is saying that $10 that you would have spent buying a lunch or buying lunch for someone, or you can buy lunch with $10.
You have to eat. Okay.
No, but you can't even buy a lunch with $10 in America. But you could spend that with 50,000 people, and we could be literally, expediting the building of heaven on earth for I and I. It's not for everyone. It's for the like-minded people I'm talking to. I'm talking to the choir. You know what I mean? Because we have to talk to each other. People say you're preaching to the choir. There's nothing wrong with preaching to the choir, but the choir need to do some action. The choir need to sing too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is what we're trying to do. I'm really excited about what you have planned, how you have it. I shouldn't be surprised knowing the caliber of the eye, but when you were speaking, it made me think you're really uniquely situated to do this. Like, there's nobody else that probably could do what the eye is doing. In terms of the way that you're doing it, the connections that you have, the leverage, the credibility in the space. Yes.
I know you forever big me up and talk all these things and say what you say and everything. And yes, it's true in a sense, but the key is that my whole focus is pouring all of this into next generation. So I spend a lot of time, and I wish I can teach someone everything I know, so that knowledge can continue. It's not about me being all great.
No.
I'm just telling
you that because most people will not tell you that. Most people will just watch, and you're doing all of this work and you're not hearing it, and then we want to, when something bad happens, then we want to start pouring out the praises. No, this platform is about singing the praises now to show the greatness and to give us the confidence to support each other, because we have greatness is here. You talked about scholarships to 10 youths. That is to I speaks to the I character. And I said before you came on, my introduction to the I was seeing the I in a Nyabingi tabernacle, saying that we need to bring young people to the ISIS, and then seeing the manifestation of that, where the young people came and they reasoned. That was my introduction to the I. Then the next time I realized who this lady was, this queen, this empress, is when we went to Ghana, and we go seat up with two elder brethren where have established themselves, and we were looking at these brethren, in terms of an example of what repatriation can look like. And we stepped out of the transport with Empress Diana Collingwood, and they saw her and said, "Miss Collingwood," and these two elders turned into children and started to sing her praises, how they taught her and they changed their life. And she just there humble, like, I'm just a regular person. No, I'm stopping that. But we don't want to put a target on our Empress Diana either. But we have to celebrate the work. And I want to, again, just we're going to put the contact information in the description. I want to share the screen so I can bring up the website, the link to buy the tickets, just so that we can get a visual on what that looks like. So we're going to share this link. 1 second here. Let me see.
So we're using Fairchild, FARECHILD events. It's funny, I tried to use Eventbrite, but realized that as long as you mention cannabis, then you can't really, you can do it and people would pay, but at the end of the conference, they send the money back to the people. I couldn't afford that team. I had to switch. So I used Fairchild, and that's the platform where you can purchase tickets. Also, I actually, I don't do social media, at all. I did an Instagram account. Well, my youth, Edward, greetings, Edward. Thank you for your support. He helped me set up an Instagram account at UVI today. It's enVIzion, ENVIZION, the same conference name, enVIzion Cannabis 2026. So you can go to that, to Instagram and see some of the postings of the flyer. We keep posting stuff up to the conference. I'm doing a lot. I want to big up Ninja P on 100.3. I've been doing, I did an interview with him and I'll continue doing things. I'm supposed to be on Analyze This, a local BI radio talk show with Neville. I forget his last name right this second, but he was a former senator. And so we went to college together at UVI as well. So I'll be on that. I'm just trying to do what I can do to promote and to make sure we have a full house and we have enough people there to take advantage of the opportunity and to build that regional think tank we talked about. You may also reach me if you wanted to make any contributions. You can do so via Zelle using my phone number, which I'm
Yes.
going to tell you. I guess, oh Lord, everybody going to call me, but that's okay. Everybody, you might be the only person who don't have my number, it seems, but it's 786-348-8765.
Can I do an email, Zelle, as well, or is it just a phone number?
Yeah, you can do the email Zelle with Diana Collingwood 2019 at gmail.com.
Send it to I so I can put that in the description.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do here on the Lion Voice Network is when, in all of the descriptions of the videos, if you see something that you want to support, that you can go there and get the link to support that guest. So we want to really do that. And if you cannot, you go to a video, you cannot find that guest information, send in a message so we can get that information.
Sister Cheryl says, Sistah Aisha was my Kasi roommate. We stayed at the what's the name of it?
Kasi?
Yeah.
Kwaku Ando Sustainability
Institute. Yes. She was my roommate. I love her like cook food.
Yes.
I love Sister Cheryl. Thanks for the respect and love. Give thanks.
And big up Sister Cheryl, who's going to be one of the speakers, one of the foremost experts when it comes on to cannabis law, Rastafari to the bone, Ethiopian World Federation, international president, always, leads with poise and very thoughtful responses. So we're looking forward to her presentation as well. And again, I'll be there, so I'll make sure we record these things that we can, play some of the content. I'm not going to be filming all of it, but we're going to tell a story so that those who missed this year can come next year. Is there any way for people, will there be any Zoom sessions? I know we spoke briefly. Is there any way for people who are not in the VI to participate this year, or is that for the future?
I talk about it if anybody emails and engages. If that's a request, it's easy for me to set up the Zoom to set it up. But if I have that request to do so, I'll be willing to do so. I thought about it, but on the Fairchild platform, it didn't allow me to do it
Yes, yes,
both hybrid, so I didn't do that. But I thought about that, and
yes, yes,
I
yes.
would I would do what I need to do. If somebody has a great interest, I'll make it happen.
Yes, yes. And in the future, maybe we can, you can do a Zoom price where, there's a track that people who are not there can pay maybe, a lesser fee and get
Yes,
to
I.
get some type of experience as well.
Yes, I.
So
That makes sense.
that's something to consider in the future. I'm very big on leveraging the global family because I know
Yes, I.
sometimes locally, we may not have the numbers or people can't travel because of the war and these kind of things that are happening around us with fuel. It's worth the investment. But if you can, then, I think we can look at things. Okay, I got
Yes,
that
sir.
information. So
You got it?
yeah.
Okay.
So we'll definitely have that in the description for the video. But we're excited. We're really now I want to know things go as you want. Describe what this looks like 10 years from now. If your vision, everything goes to plan. Yes, you had some rocky road, but everything goes to plan. What are we looking at in 10 years because of this conference?
We are looking at least 10 to 20 young people because of this engaged in lucrative jobs in the industry. We are looking at our regional growers well knowledgeable about different practices, comfortable with reaching out to each other in different spaces and getting advice or recommendations on some challenge they have so they don't have to worry and think twice about problems when they have a problem relative to growing. We are talking about as a region having input in a lot of the regulation and policy development because we would be more engaged and supportive and knowledgeable about what best meets our needs in the industry. It would look like us going on trips and seeing other grow operations and sharing knowledge and in local communities doing more training and engaging more youth in the industry and not just engaging them in a laboring capacity, but in more of the technical expertise type of skills. We're looking at innovation and having young people come up with different patented items that can help support the industry more with their creativity and their skills, different type of apps to monitor things that I can't do or can't even comprehend how they do it. But once we partner with the youth, they just come up with some amazing ideas with all the technology and access they have. We're just talking about new strains developing from our land race genetics, learning and exchanging, looking like seed banks, having cannabis seed banks in our local region that we could capture and store strains and varieties for future generations. It looking like us understanding how to grow food and to grow cannabis more organically and sustainably and assisting with food security because it's not just about cannabis, it's about food, and ultimately we have to get down to the food as well. And even with the ITEL standard certification, remember when I joined the group, I was adamant about, listen, we're going to do all of this for cannabis, but we need to do this for food too. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we need food. And that was non-negotiable. And the standard that we created, the ITEL standard certification for cannabis, can be easily applied to food. And we started working on that in Ghana too, to create it in a way. So all those things is what it looked like. And it looked like we're going to have relationships. We
Yes,
will
yes.
be understand
And I
how
can
to
tell you in the
closer to each
RMO,
other.
I
Uh-huh.
can tell you in the RMO Raga, food and ganja are married. That is the
Yes,
saying,
I.
so whoever's planting ganja also plant. That is a Rastafari culture. It's always
Yes.
been like that. It's not been formally uttered, but this is not reinventing the wheel. You know what
Yes,
I
yes,
mean? Ganja man always plant
yes, I
colony, we plant him,
true.
whatever. You know what I mean? So it's part of our liberty, but continue.
And also it looks like financial literacy, as one and ones we have to understand better how to make money work for I, you know what I mean? Money is not just money, but money is like a tool for our success. So when we have money, we have to understand how we can grow that money, using all the standards out there, all the financial standards, the stocks and the bond. I know we Rastafari and we don't have to do, but yes, we do. We need to multiply our funds, our resources for our future generations. What I mean?
And
I think that's
we
important as part
burn
of the
out the false
legacy.
teachings. We burn out the false teachings over here. His Majesty told us about economic development. So any
Yes, I.
person who act like money is not necessary, that is a false
Yes.
teaching that don't have nothing to do with Rastafari.
And we're not saying that money gonna guide our steps and
No.
our thinking, but
Balance.
again, we need to be economically solvent. You know what I mean? We
Spiritual
need to
material
have,
balance.
yes, we need to have funding so we can do things and empower our youths and do schools and all these things, help them get well educated, help our elders when they are sick. We need those things. So it's important. So I want to
Build
see
institutions.
I develop. Yes.
It's about building institution. That is the legacy of His Majesty. That's why Ethiopia persists to this day, why it was never conquered. It's the institutions that were built. That means it
Right.
goes beyond a personality. When a personality is gone, the institution persists generation to generation.
Yes,
And
sir.
this conference that you're building is an institution. I want to go to the comments and just see if we have any questions. We have here a clapping and clapping. Denisha Richardson, who's the latest member of our Lion Pride and Patreon. Welcome to the Lion Pride and Patreon family, sister, and give thanks for the high presence. Ross Roots says, welcome the mighty Empress Sistah Aisha Collingwood. Ross Roots with the $5. Ross Roots never leave we out. Post the link, Adrian. See, Ross Roots is ready to support, I don't know about everyone. David
Love it.
Sebastian, Ross Super. And next,
Mm,
yes,
easy.
next Lion Pride and Patreon Ubuntu. Brethren, big up yourself, Ross Super, every time. Bongo
So
Wisely. I must demand reparatory justice for the brutality inflicted on Rastafari because
yes,
of
I.
relationships with her. Speak to
Mhm.
that point, Sister Aisha, in terms of
Yes. Because even recently, when I was planning this and talking to ones and ones and encouraging Rastafari to come and share their knowledge and what they've learned over these decades growing cannabis, a lot of ones who have gone through some traumatic experiences with their family and lost funds or house or went through some trauma when it comes to cannabis, they were more than willing to engage. They were really unwilling, and you could tell that that experience traumatized them for life, in a sense. And these are reparations we have to address, and I feel it's important. And that be one of the conversations too, how we address the tax revenue that is collected from cannabis. And that is why we need to develop regionally so we can have a say. And we can only have that say when we have bigger numbers, you know. I'm reading a comment here from Roots, and Brethren is saying that it's real easy. Convert dollars from quick fixes and satisfaction, right? That's money we spend on disposable stuff, that quick fixes and satisfaction, things that we really don't need. Convert those dollars in a Babylon and put it into Rastafari Pan African businesses and entrepreneurs. We have to get back to the point where we can socially engage and support each other. And that's something we haven't gotten to. We
yeah,
feel uncomfortable about trusting each other enough and
yes,
putting money towards pushing somebody forward. We forget that when we promote one, we promote all. Just because
yeah,
he's rising, it don't mean we don't rise too. But
exactly.
sometimes some of us have done that, where we rise and we up here and then we think we separate from the rest. But that's why they're coming for you. It's not good enough that you alone live on top of the hill. You gotta
That is
bring
it.
more people up on the hill too, so you
That
can
is
have
it.
security. So it's not
Collective
about one on one. And
security.
again, I always say success is still failure unless you prepare your successors. So it's not good enough that you made it in life and you doing well. It's not he who dies with the most money wins. That's not the name of the game. You know, we have to empower others with the resources that we have and show them how to build capacity and expand those resources, and especially with the youth. So our work will continue continually, and that's critical. So we have work to do. Wake up, wake up, wake up, people, and get on it. Get on it. Don't be afraid to work hard. It pays off, you know. It does pay, and that's the standard we need to set for the youth then, you know.
Yes, we have one of my Lion Pride on Patreon from a little island off of the coast of Madagascar. Bless up family, grand rising from the east side of the globe. This is way up in the hours, or no, this is probably early morning for the sister. Give thanks, her and
Give
her team.
thanks.
Rastafari is all over the earth. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I
sir.
prove that
And
with this
yes,
platform.
sir.
Go ahead.
And Quasi, that's something we just forget. As young as Rastafari, the Rastafari movement is, right? Anywhere you go in this world, in giant
Yes,
earth, there is Rastafari. And
yes,
wherever they are, they know the
power,
other Rastafari around, they're organizing. So that means we have this opportunity to engage
power.
in trade globally. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? You know,
and
if
we
we
have not
strengthen the
harnessed that power.
EWF, we have not.
We
And
have
now
not.
with Sister Cheryl being the international president of the EWF, you know, we spoke a lot about this in the nights in the room. This is a great opportunity to empower Rastafari globally and to engage in trade, you know, value added product development, you know, all our agriculture products, adding value to them, extending the shelf life so we could exchange products as needed. And that's where we have to get to, you know, where we do international trade amongst I and I. And that's part of the economic empowerment I would like to see as a result from this small initiative, you know?
Yes. Ras Super is asking, he said the new trend is about seedless herb. What is the
No.
idea on the use of seedless herb and its sustainability?
Well, no, that's anything that's seedless is almost genetically modified vibes, you know? And again, our move in the industry is really to get back to land raised genetics, the type of plants that were indigenous to our individual locations and that grow best and do best in our environment. So those seedless varieties, those seedless strains, you know, they're not, I mean, you know, that's a problem in a sense for me, for I and I, you know what I'm saying? And how are we going to replicate them through grafting, through tissue culture, through genetic modification? So from my perspective, it's still the same thing as those seedless watermelons. And I don't know everything. I haven't heard about seedless cannabis plants, you know, naturally. So I have to do research to figure out what's that about and how they came about with that. And I would bet you it has something to do with genetic modification to create special strains, you know?
Yes.
But they want it to be badder and badder and badder. Huh?
Yes, feminine. I know
Feminized.
Dr. Michelle would be the perfect person
Yes, perfect.
and we'll bring him on the platform at some point. Blessed love, glad to be a part of the Lion Pride. Big up yourself. Watching from St. Croix, VI. Okay.
Ouch.
Excited
Yes,
to learn about this conference. You see it there?
give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks.
So you see, I didn't even know that my latest Patreon member was from the VI, and prayerfully I'll get to meet the I in
Yes.
person at the conference, sister. So prayerfully the I will buy a ticket and we will see the I there. But this is the power of the technology of coming on these platforms and spreading it out to a global family, because you know we are very niche. We have to understand that as well. You know, I could have done wide, but I wanted to build a platform that fed the root first, because we don't have any platforms that are really feeding the root of the movement. You know, the people who are in the trenches doing the work. This, you know, that's my first niche audience, target audience. It's from a business point of view, it don't make no sense. And business people would tell you that because our people don't spend. But because we need it, you know, we need it. We need a platform that feeds our core of the movement. And I give thanks that it's happening, the penetration, and I know it's working because I'm getting the phone calls from the grassroots, you know what I mean? Because we have grassroots on the platform. We have the PhDs, yes, but we also have the lady that's selling a market on the platform too. So we really have been very intentional about connecting with the core, even though we have many people from all nations, all kind of people watch the platform. You know, one of our biggest markets is Libya. That's one of the most popular, comes up in my analytics all the time. I don't know anybody in Libya. I didn't even know Libya love Rastafari, but they're always top in my demographic. So we know that there's a lot of people, but when I see someone like Denisha who is in VI St. Croix, and then she sees this now, and now she's, you know, informed and she can take action, that make my heart, it make me know I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Make your heart go pitta patta.
Yes, you know what I mean?
Whatever. Give
With the-
thanks, Denisha. Looking forward to linking.
And yeah, and I know many more will watch this on the replay. So all of the St. Croix family, make sure you turn out to this. I will be in the place, so come out so you can make your talk on the Lion Voice Network. We can CDI support. This is a chance for St. Croix to really show the rest of, you know, the global family that the Rastafari community in St. Croix is rising in this Armageddon time, you know, to support this event. So, and that's aside from the Pan-African community that we also want to turn out. All right, so we're gonna allow the eye to say some final sounds. Is there anything else that the eye want to share?
I see that the not the final, but one of the comments talks about how can we find Rastafari knowledge from Ganja. You know, I don't know of where it's documented, and that's knowledge we need to capture. Because I guess when I was young Rastafari, we used to say Rasta don't dead, Rasta don't die, you know, and we know we're losing our elders. So we, you know, we need the youth or somebody to capture that knowledge and document it. And that's important history that we haven't been gathering. I don't know if anywhere we can go and find Rastafari knowledge on cannabis. So that's important.
We have some of it here on the Lion Voice Network. We have some elders. You can go into the archives, some stories, you know, but continue.
Yeah, I'm just looking at more comments that coming in, like most of our youths running down the high grade seedless herbs, and we need to understand the danger if any of it's continued to be used. You know, I think that's what's intended. But that's another thing. That type of herb is not the herb that your grandparents burned.
Yeah.
It's a
And
totally
a
different
lot of it is laced with chemicals, fertilizers, and things like that. That is something that the ITAL standard is being created to address, because if, you know, as Rastafari, we have a different view of the herb. We don't deal with recreational use. You know, our use is holistic in terms of how we view the herb. We don't have no separation. As she said, it's food, it's clothes, it's medicine, it's, you know, meditation. I mean, it's a plant that has, you know, so much in terms of its utility for the building of Zion. You know, so we are on that. Bongo Wisely says Caribbean leaders need to designate the Caribbean as a cannabis-free zone so that the larger regions can focus on medical production and the smaller islands can concentrate on higher THC strains.
Yes, I.
That would take visionary planning and regional coordination, which should be happening, because what he's getting to is you can't plant hemp and ganja close together.
No, you can't. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the hemp is just as important. So we probably have to use places like Guyana, Suriname, that have large land mass to do the hemp production, you know?
Exactly.
And then, as you said, go ahead.
So then that's why, again, we have to come together and have one voice, you know, and that can only come from organizing and centralizing, you know, and this could be a move in that direction. And one thing I want to add, you know, when you said, what does this look like 10 years from now? It looks like youth, somebody else, a next generation individual doing the conference, and even before that. And that's the whole point of everything I do, is to prepare a next one, the next generation, to continue this amazing work. And if each one of I and I do that within our communities, within our spaces, even within our homes, and really prepare the youth them for the next steps, we will all be better off because of it globally. So we just have to commit to that and make that happen by any means necessary. No apologies, non-negotiable. Just do it. Just make it happen. And we got the power. So I just want to urge everyone to just manifest the best potential of yourself. Do right, do good, follow the ITEL standards, follow the Selassie I script, and manifest excellence and be great. Don't dream small dreams. Little dreams have no magic. Go large, go hard, work towards it, and build capacity. And God bless and guide us all through these difficult global times, it look like. But hold your corner, man. Keep on keeping on. That's all. That's all I can say.
The Gideon is not going to get any better for now. People are waiting for things to return to normal. There is, chaos is the new normal. Chaos is the new normal. But we've been blessed with a vision. As I said, we were prepared for this time. We've been chanting about this time, singing about this is our time to shine. And agriculture, ganja production is a unique. People will always want food. People will always want ganja. So if we position ourselves right now, this is the time when we can generate unprecedented wealth as Rastafari. Because we have a brand that is respected around the world for these things. ITEL is respected. Our association with Herb is respected. So we have an opportunity unprecedented. And I think this conference, along with other activities, because nothing's in a vacuum, is again, this is the architecture that's going to take us to that next level. And we are overjoyed that I got that inspiration and that you answered the call, because remember it said, will you be ready when Rastafari call? And I was ready, with your qualifications, with your network, with your communication. And when Rastafari called, you didn't refuse like Jonah and in the belly of a whale. You know what I mean?
My brethren Sekou Tafari just say, ready for the liberation. You've been saying that for decades.
Yes.
And it was only when Ibrahim Traore came on the scene, I was so excited because it looked like we're gonna see liberation in our lifetime. To see that type of thinking and that type of focus, that kind of reawakened me to bring out, the general, the general in me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that youth, to see that youth in Burkina Faso making those bold moves and providing that level of leadership, that genius mind. It just reminded I and I that I and I just great. And each one of us got to be, we got to be our best brand of ourselves. So just putting that out there that it's being done, it can be done, and I can do it. Yes. So just go forth and do the works,
Give thanks. And I'll say this war, one of the secondary impacts is that it's going to divert resources of our colonizers into the Middle East. And we cannot underestimate that the suppression that is being funded that suppresses our greatness, when that funding is redirected, how fast we are going to rise as a continent. You know what I mean? Because we just assume things are in Africa because that's how things are. But no, it's funded to be the way it is. And when those funds are now diverted or they're no longer able to sustain the investment in these regions, naturally, you're going to see a blossoming. So we have to position ourselves, be ready. Again, building the alternative. Africa is a continent of young people. It's the youngest continent. We have to be ready with the infrastructure, the ideas, the businesses that's going to help to employ a new generation. And the herb, the cannabis plant, if from hempcrete to, think about how many solutions that we can be on the African continent. There's no hunger. There's no poverty in how we know it. There might be people with not a lot of capital, but their standard of living doesn't have to be low because they don't access a lot of capital. You know what I mean? These things are Babylon concept. So we are at the cusp of something unprecedented, His Majesty said that. Africa's on the verge of an economic, political, and cultural development, which, when realized, will be without parallel in history. His Majesty said at 1958 to the Accra Conference. So, heaven on earth is not just something that we are talking about frivolously. This is part of the mandate that His Majesty came to manifest, and it's our duty. This conference is, again, an institution being built to help to get us to where we can bring the minds together to strategize, because strategy is also very important in any kind of spiritual war, physical war, and we know we fight spiritual war as Rastafari. So you still have to have your strategy to lay out your economic future. So I want to give thanks, Sister Aisha, for your work and for inviting I again to participate as a Lion Voice Network. We will be there. We will also again be producing content to share some of the event. We will be having some exclusive interviews with some of the panelists. Yes.
Bobo Solasi's in the house.
Bobo
Greetings from Ghana, Bobo.
Okay.
Greetings, my brethren.
International platform. We need 3 more people to reach 50 monthly subscribers. I want 3 of the Lion Pride. I'm not talking to the casual. You just came on the channel, you saw the Rasta, and you said, "What the Rasta?" No, I'm not talk to the eye. Just calm yourself. I'm talking to the Lion Pride, the subscribers. I need 3 of the items to step up now. Join us in the Lion Pride and Patreon so we can start our grant program. We're going to be gifting $100 US to someone that we vote on every month in the town hall meeting who's doing positive work. We want to give them a little stipend just to say we appreciate, love them, and then we're going to ask different ones to match, so if you say matching funds, we'll put the link in the bio. And again, everything is about getting capital in the hands of the people doing the work. It's simple. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel at this hour of the Armageddon. We want to find the people who are passionate about the work they're doing, and we want to empower them to scale and do the work that they need to do for the kingdom of the Almighty on earth. Kadamari, Haile Selassie the First, Zenagadeya, Udan, Besa. All right, so final word now. Sealed, not final because we don't love that word, but your sealing sound for this gathering, Sister Aisha.
I see Marie's comment saying that I don't think that African countries will be legalizing cannabis anytime soon. Many of these countries are strict Muslim and Christian, and they view cannabis as a drug. And, the sister is right. There are a lot of people who have this warped view of cannabis. And again, that's where the education comes in. And that's why it's so critical that we educate and we share and we build capacity, because although the country as a whole may think so, there are many ones within the country that know better, and they have a desire. And that's why we need to centralize and organize regionally and globally, so we provide support to our other fledgling industries who are trying to come aboard. So we have to start somewhere and set the standard of excellence. And that is how other people will follow when they see that light, that bright, shiny light, and follow through.
And things are changing. Things are changing. Ghana just passed a law for medical cannabis, so things are changing. And we have to understand, when I talk about the instruments of suppression, a lot of the anti-herb legislation is funded by outside of the continent. So when these apparatus dismantle, what the MOSA is doing, you'll find that most of these governments are up to it. Also remember that biblically and in the Quran, there's no prohibition against the herb. The herb have ancient roots in both Islam, with the Sufis, and also with the Christian and with the Hebrew. THC being found on the altars in Jerusalem, and in the incense holders. So this is not something that those leaders don't know about, but pharmaceutical companies, different people that want to suppress this knowledge. And this is why we need an economic base so that we can be in the rooms when the policy is being held. And
Yes,
as
sir.
Aisha said, you know what I mean? These politicians, they respect people with numbers and resources, you know. So
Yes, sir.
once we have those numbers and resources, we will be at the table when the policy is being drafted, or we will get the policy changed. This is how the law works. We have to pull
Yes,
the
sir.
curtain forward. You know, we can't be naive anymore at this hour. You know, we have to build an economic base. This is why we have to build our businesses, our institutions. We have to spread the capital, because that economic base is going to allow us to change the landscape. You know what I mean? It's going to allow us to build literal Zion on earth. I'm going to give the international president of the Ethiopian World Federation final word. She said, it is an ancient, also in the Hindu too. But you know, Sister Cheryl not gonna just say one word. She's just like I. We need to be at the table.
Yes, sir. We need to be the table.
We exactly need to build the table. You know what I mean? So these are my
Yes, sir.
sisters. This is my family. We give thanks. We're
Yes,
all gonna
sir.
be there. It's gonna be monumental, historic. And again, this is one of our main economic drivers, the herb. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry right now, not tomorrow, not down
Right,
the line, right
right now.
today.
Right
And
now.
there's a massive chunk of that we could harness literally within a 12-month span. We can change the face of Rastafari through this plant
Yes,
just by
sir.
organize ourselves. That's not unrealistic talk. That's not pie in the sky talk. You know what I mean? Because the
Yes,
people
sir.
want what we have, our brand. So we got to get it together, and we will get it together.
You will,
So
and I will.
um, give thanks for this another classic episode. We will keep you posted again. I'll put the contact information in the description. Send the Zelle. The conference, you know, she's trying to break even. We want her to leave with a profit. As the Lion Pride, we are the economic auxiliary forces. That is what we're building here on the Lion Pride,
Yes,
for
sir.
the people who are brave enough to step out on the battlefield and do the work. We don't want them out on battlefield and do work, and them do have no reinforcements. No, them the office staff. So Lion Pride do what the item do. And I got a call from Empress Carla. She said, give thanks, Ras. I got a Zelle, I got a, you know what I mean? So people, it's working, you know, it's trickling, but some of the item are listening, the item are supporting the guests, and I love it, and I give thanks. I love the item, and we're not gonna stop. Why? Because the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is what? The Lion Voice.
Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story.
Yes,
It's the
sir.
lion's voice. Give
Aye.
thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Ganja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lamb's voice. Now put it. I jolly for say that.
Greetings, this is Shiloh. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See?
Yes, sir.
This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Shiloh said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
What are you waiting for? Come together, come together. Calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
African pride, root of all nations, boy. I tried with the lion, the Rastafari. Lion of it tried with lioness like I do. Empress on the front line, we need you. Well, this is Medicine, the steady one, and you are now tuned in to the Lion's Voice Network. What the lion fought for do? Scorch them. Roast and parch them.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Empress Manel, and a young scientist. Your role universally unfold, be told. Blessed love, this is Itege Idama, and it's time for the lioness and the lion's voices to be heard. This is the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Yo, blazing fire, yeah man, this is Racindio out of Belize, and the time has come for the lions to tell our own story, right? Yeah man, we blaze fire, burning the wicked and the dirty vampire. Yeah man, Racindio said that, blazing fire, lion boy.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes, wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, for the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.